How often do you hear stories that are so fantastic that they seem too good to be true? The music industry is buzzing with an exciting rumor that could blow your mind, so get ready. Put yourself in Whitney Houston's shoes. The celestial singer with the angelic voice and renowned for her timeless hits can have a hidden relationship with another famous person. Maybe you're wondering who on earth might have an unexpected connection to Whitney right now. Several people have speculated that Teresa Graves could be Whitney Houston's biological mother. Teresa Graves, better known as Get Christie Love, is the relevant party in issue. Does it really sound that real? Stranger things have happened in Hollywood, however. Whispers about Whitney's family secrets are swirling in the rumor mill. It's so unbelievable, but it's happening in the real world. Graves, who has supposedly been keeping a low profile, has allegedly decided to confirm the rumors that have been circulating for years. You may be asking what the fuss is about and why this matters so much. Just picture yourself discovering that the person you thought you know intimately really had an entirely different backstory. Comparable like unearthing a long-lost relic in your own garden. At one point in her career, Teresa Graves was just as famous as Whitney. And you know what? They have a striking resemblance. When I say that they have comparable facial characteristics, I mean things like eye shape and even the way they grin. Does it happen by chance? Very possibly. Perhaps there is a broader aspect to consider. Also, Cissy Houston, Whitney's mom, and Teresa allegedly had a friendship in their younger years. Does it happen by chance? Possibly not. Keeping such a major secret under wraps for so long may be a mystery to you. To some extent, it is the allure of this rumor. Could it be that the person we've always assumed was not Whitney's biological mother after all? So brace yourselves for astonishment, interest, and maybe even some emotion, people. Here is the scoop you've been seeking, revealed by those closest to the situation. You will not want to miss a syllable as Whitney Houston's mother is prepared to spill the beans. Now we may discuss the possible connection between Whitney Houston and Teresa Graves, who is said to be her mother. Teresa Graves didn't come from a wealthy family or have a lot of material possessions as a child, but she did have a unique quality, a flame that could illuminate every room she entered. Teresa, the youngest of her family, was born in 1948 in Houston, Texas, and she had a difficult upbringing. The hue of your skin was a dividing factor in those days. Because of her race, African-American Teresa had to contend with biased policies and severely restricted prospects. However, Teresa remained unfazed. Her talent for making others laugh and engage in imaginative play began at an early age. Teresa shone like a star whenever she had the opportunity to perform. Her parents were very supportive once they saw how talented she was. Though they were poor, they believed in their daughter and loved her very deeply. Teresa continued to follow her heart even as she matured. She would seize the opportunity to perform without hesitation. She gave her all to her roles in school plays and community productions. People were captivated by her charisma and exceptional acting talent. Then, out of nowhere, Teresa got her big break on television. She flaunted her acting skills on the Smothers Brothers Comedy Hour and Laugh-In, among others. The character of Christie Love, an astute and sassy undercover investigator, was Teresa's big break. However, it was a pioneering role, not just any role. The role of main actress in a criminal drama series was first played by Teresa, an African-American lady. The program Get Christie Love changed the game more than any other. Instead of waiting to be saved, Teresa's character actively sought to be rescued. She defied expectations and proved that black women could do great things, proving that preconceptions may be wrong. Watching Teresa stomp her foot and call people names, viewers of all races tuned in. She was more than an actress. She was an inspiration to people all around the world, telling them to believe in themselves and not give up on their ambitions. Teresa Graves enchanted millions of people. She did more than illuminate the screen. Life, however, unfolded as it often does, with all the usual twists and turns. Teresa had 2 marriages during her lifetime. Tragically, her first marriage to Richard Hooker came to an end, and the two of them went their separate ways. However, Teresa remained hopeful in discovering her happily ever after. In 1974, she got on another love train when she wed James Randolph. Until Teresa's sudden death, they continued on their adventure together. Teresa loved her family and friends very much, even if she never had children of her own. They served as her rock while she weathered the waves of life. Her days were filled with laughter and pleasure because of them, and she treasured every minute spent with them. Teresa had a vibrant life outside of her acting assignments because to her many interests. With every turn of the page, her imagination would run wild as she dove headfirst into novels. She sang like a bird, nourishing her soul with music as she filled the air with enchanting songs. Oh, she had a spiritual side as well, drawing strength from her beliefs even when faced with challenges in life. However, there were some dark clouds on Teresa's path. She had more than her share of challenges as a black woman working in the entertainment industry in the 60s and 70s. Teresa remained firm, unyielding in the face of racism and discrimination's attempts to stifle her light and her aspirations. A shining example that ability has no hue, she became a symbol of optimism. Having her 1975 program Get Christy Love canceled was a very trying time for Teresa. The program was canceled after just one season, despite the fact that it was critically acclaimed and thoroughly successful. It was as devastating as a blow to Teresa's stomach. Not that she stayed down for much. She picked herself up, brushed herself off, and continued along, determined to tackle new levels. Teresa continued acting after the program ended, although she never again landed a part on par with Christy Love's. Although she made cameo appearances on series such as The Love Boat and Fantasy Island, nothing could compare to the thrill of her investigative days. Anyway, Teresa persisted anyway. The entertainment industry was always her calling, and she even dabbled in acting. However, she began to branch out from acting as time went on. True, Teresa wanted fame and money, but she also cared deeply about making a difference in people's lives. Volunteering and supporting various causes took up a lot of her time, and she was actively engaged in her neighborhood. Her kind spirit was as much respected as her acting chops. Later that year, 2002, disaster occurred. The home of Teresa was destroyed in a devastating fire. A malfunctioning heater caused the fire, and Teresa was engulfed in smoke despite everyone's best efforts to save her. For those who knew her and adored her on film, her death was a devastating blow. Because Teresa was more than an actress, a friend, an inspiration, and a true hero, many were devastated by her passing. People couldn't stop mentioning Teresa after her death. They reminisced about her groundbreaking work in Hollywood and her ability to motivate people to follow their passions. Teresa may not have exploded into stardom after Get Christy Love, but her influence was substantial and long-lasting. With this newfound information about Teresa Graves's past, the story begins to take an intriguing turn. Now let's shift gears and discuss the rumors circulating, a secret that piqued people's interest. Things were changing in the United States throughout the 60s and 70s when Whitney and Teresa were making a splash in the music industry. Music had a significant role in the many civil rights campaigns that took place. R&B, soul, and gospel music were booming in popularity. When they first began singing, Whitney and Teresa were both deeply involved in these styles. Teresa continued to draw heavily on her musical roots even when she pursued a career in acting. What about Whitney? Oh, her voice was as soul-stirring as the music of that era. The rumor enters at this point. The possibility that Teresa is Whitney's biological mother began to circulate. Two well-known singers linked by a very private and intimate bond. Isn't it incredible? There have been rumblings and suggestions in the music business, but no one knows for sure whether it's real or not. Rumors, particularly those involving well-known individuals, tend to travel rapidly. Black female singers like Whitney or Teresa had it tough in that era. Lots of obstacles were in their way, and they had to hide certain aspects of their life at times to save their jobs. Perhaps that's why, if the rumor had any basis in reality, they chose to keep it under wraps. Plus, Individuals weren't as forthcoming about their private lives as they are today. It might be devastating to their jobs if anything sensational were to come to light. Because of this, it's possible that the myth persisted for a long time despite the lack of evidence. People would still wonder if it wasn't true. Amazing vocalists. Whitney and Teresa had many physical characteristics, including hair, skin color, eyes, nose, and smile. They were so gifted as singers that even their voices sounded identical. Whitney was born in 1963 in Houston, Texas, and Teresa in 1948. And that's not all. Claim: Teresa had Whitney at the tender age of 15 and placed her for adoption with Teresa's aunt Cissy Houston. Teresa, like Whitney, had Marie as her middle name. Perhaps it is the reason for the rumor's persistence returning again, even after their departure. However, do you know the unique aspect of this rumor? It exemplifies the immense affection that the public had for Whitney and Teresa. For their devoted followers, the singers were more than simply music. They were role models for the many black women of the day. We may now discuss their professional lives. As a young singer, Teresa was a member of the late 1960s TV show The Doodletown Pipers. She began appearing in films and television series like Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In after that. Christy Love, a cool LAPD detective, was her breakout role, however. At the helm of her own drama series, she broke new ground as the first black woman. As previously said, she was the key that opened doors for celebrities such as Angela Bassett and Pam Grier. Conversely, Whitney achieved superstardom in the music industry. She was the undisputed queen of pop music in the 80s and 90s. She was born on August 9, 1963, in Newark, New Jersey, and she was wonderful from the moment she came into this world. The influence of Whitney's mother, Cissy Houston, a famous gospel singer in her own right, was substantial as she grew up in a musically rich household. Whitney grew up in a household where music was more than just a hobby, thanks to relatives like Dionne and Dee Dee Warwick, who shared her passion. She had a meteoric rise to fame in the early 1980s, when music mogul Clive Davis discovered her skills. With 3 consecutive #1 singles from her 1985 first album, she became an international phenomenon. Whitney became a household celebrity because to her incredible singing voice and electrifying performances. Throughout her career, Whitney transformed pop, R&B, and gospel into her own distinctive sound. She became famous and beloved all over the globe as songs like I Will Always Love You and I Wanna Dance with Somebody became generational anthems. However, Whitney's life was far from glamorous. In her private life, she had problems, most notably in her marriage to Bobby Brown, another musician. Her struggles were made public and agonizing by reports of drug misuse and domestic issues, which overshadowed her accomplishments. Her legacy, nevertheless, was Whitney's voice. Her perfect technique and seemingly infinite vocal range became her an inspiration to vocalists worldwide. Many musicians owe a debt of gratitude to her, including Beyoncé and Mariah Carey. Whitney, demons and all, was a star on cinema as well. Acting roles in films like As the Bodyguard and Waiting to Exhale demonstrated her acting prowess in addition to her singing abilities. Whitney stood out, however, because of her heart. She never let her own hardships prevent her from making time to give back. From children's welfare to championing the rights of the oppressed, she gave generously to causes near and dear to her heart. Tragically, Whitney's life was cut short by an unintentional drowning on February 11, 2012, exacerbated by her heart illness and drug misuse. She was staying in a hotel room in Beverly Hills at the time. Worldwide, the news sent shockwaves and left millions bereaved of a legendary figure. The life and music of Whitney Houston impacted many others, and she was more than simply a... Truthfully, however, there is little evidence to suggest that Whitney and Teresa were actually related. It's just rhetoric. Both of these remarkable individuals were trailblazers in their own right. Whitney was unstoppable in the music industry, while Teresa shattered TV limits. Although they may have had certain commonalities, it does not constitute familial relations. Regardless of their familial relationship, The impact of Teresa Graves and Whitney Houston will be felt for years to come. They were a paradigm shift for Black women in show business. Both Whitney and Teresa were trailblazers. Whitney's extraordinary voice and stage presence raised the standard. Even if they aren't biologically related, the world will never forget these two incredible women who revolutionized their field.